Hi, good morning. How you doing? How are you doing today? Good, great. So we're going to be together for the next hour or so. I'm going to try to go up to like 50 minutes or 45 minutes and then leave it for a bit of a dialogue between us. And so my name is John Martinez. I'm the CEO and founder of a company called ShockLogic. And I am absolutely passionate about the development of human potential. That what gets me out of bed in the morning, is to be able to see, develop, and grow the people that I work with. Um, I'm going to introduce myself a little bit so I can, so you know, to qualify somehow why am I here and why should you be listening and who am I and where does it come from? You know, the stuff that I'm saying and doing. So at ShockLogic, we are passionate about simplifying the lives of event organizers, right? And we do this every day, any way we can, and we do that through software and technology. And so we are a company of about this doesn't go forward, doesn't go back. We're about 60 people spread around the world. And so we're at that point where we're not a small company anymore, but we're not a large company either, so somewhere in the middle. So we have to develop ways on how to communicate and how to create a culture. How do we keep a culture together? So I come from a background of meeting planning. So I spent the first 14 years of my career as a meeting planner, as a PCO. So can I see a show of hands? If I say event organizers, how many of you are event organizers? Okay. Venues? Cool. DMOs? So convention bureaus, tourism boards, etc., etc. Oh, wow. Okay, interesting. Press? Students? Cool. Welcome. Anyone I didn't name? Any category I didn't say? Associations, societies, clients? Cool. So I come from a background of a PCO, so I'm an event organizer by trade, but in my previous life, I was a quantum physicist, so I was supposed to end up in science. So I have a PhD in quantum physics from a very geeky university in Boston called MIT. And so in a geekathon, I'm your man, right? When it comes to nerds, your bet with me is quite solid. I have the pleasure to work with my son, which is the guy with less hair than me, but better looking, but sort of looking, but not quite. And I have a wonderful team with which I am literally in love with each one of them in a particular way. There are two in the back, and they get embarrassed about it, but I am unrepentant at saying it. So some of the stuff that I'm saying to you here, so this is the stuff that we do every day, and how we operate. And that's what I want to share with you. And so today we're going to be talking about something that we call life working, right? And what is that? And how leadership has anything to do with that. What I want, in a way, is to challenge the concept of work-life balance, right? So how many of you would say that you have a balanced work-life balance? Wow, liar, pants on fire. I love that. He just raised his hand. Yes, of course, we all want that. That's the goal, right? We all want to have a balanced work-life balance. I wonder what happened if I asked your partners. What would they say, right? Yeah, exactly. So I wanna challenge that, because the thing with work-life balance that sort of doesn't sit okay with me is that, first of all, it implies that there is a work and there's a life. There's two different things. And I have a hard time defining the boundaries. Event organizing, meeting planning is supposed to be the fifth among the top 5 most stressful jobs there are. Can you believe that? I thought surgeon has to be more up there. It's not up there. And this is, if you look everywhere, Google this thing. So for us, what I tend to say to newcomers into the industry is that if you show up on Friday at this place, you say, oh, sorry, I missed my flight, so you show up on Friday. You could do that in a bank, in an insurance company, working in many, many areas. This place will be empty, right? It will be nothing. Nothing of the magic that just happened here will be happening because we're so deadline-oriented. Happens between this moment and this moment. Whatever you don't do in that period is gone. You know, it just doesn't happen. So yeah, there's a lot of stress, a lot of balls being juggled. So this whole idea that, you know, work-life balance also is meant to be 50-50, you know, balance, right? It's supposed to be like that. So we're constantly, there's this Forbes study in about 70,000 subjects that says that work-life balance is one more thing people feel that they're failing at. So on top of it, I have a good or bad work-life balance. So what I want to question here is that it also, I think, that the whole idea of work-life balance let employers get away with murder. Because it allows us to say, I'm a CEO. It allows us to say, there's work and there's life. Leave your life outside of work. The professional only comes in, the person doesn't come in. So one of my colleagues, his wife just had a miscarriage. Is that not going to affect his work? How work doesn't affect life and how does life doesn't affect work? And in today's world that we're all connected all the time, how do we do? What happens? Because the holy grail is to be able to unplug, right? We want to unplug. We want to be able to take a holiday. But then most of my colleagues would say, and everything that I read says, that most people, when they're on holiday, they're stressing out that the work is piling up when they get back, right? But I'm not going to do any work, and you tell your partner, I'm not going to do any work. If you have a partner that's putting pressure on that, it's one more added pressure, and we keep on chasing this. And I tell you, all my female friends, this is so much more bigger, you know, and if they have children, then it becomes really, really untenable. So unplugging, why would we need to unplug? And the two most common words that we hear from iGens and from millennials and Gen Y, and in the last 10 years, I hear constantly from all members of my team, stress and anxiety, right? And now it's a new word that came out for the last 15 years, 10, 15 years, burnout, right? And it's a reality. It's true. It's not a fad. This is not something that people have in their heads. People really become incapable of doing the things that they thought they could do before. So what do we do in order to deal with this? Because we're constantly moving from one thing to another. So in psychotherapy, it says that the antidote to stress and to anxiety, the magic pill is to choose one word or one thought over another. From I can't do it to I can do it. From I am not capable of to I am capable of. Sounds easy, right? But it ain't that easy. So what's going on with us? What's happening with us and our bodies? And what happened? Why are we so stressed? Why are we so anxious? And any parent, like I said, I work with my son, and he's a millennial, right? So among his friends, stress and anxiety is a constant. It's a constant word. So what do we do about it? So we, in my office, we've been dealing with this. I've been doing a lot of research about it. And one of the things that we realize, right? So let's go back to what we have to deal with. So our bodies can only deal with 3 reactions. Fight, flight, freeze. That's it. And it's nothing that we can do about it because it comes from our neuroscience, from our neurology. So the flight mode, what it does is that, and the flight mode, the freeze mode, and the fight mode, is that there's a gland called the amygdala. And the amygdala is ruled by our limbic system. Our limbic system is our original, our old reptilian brain that could only do these 3 things. That was supposed to save us from bears and from tigers, et cetera, because we're not a really strong species, right? We have thin skin, we're not very hairy, big teeth, or big claws, etc., etc. So we need to survive with what we got. So how do we survive with what we got? What do we do with what we got? So what happens normally is that as soon as we go into stress and anxiety and panic, there's something called amygdala hijack, which is it shoots cortisol into the frontal lobe, and it is designed to impair us from thinking. So don't think, run. That's it. Don't think, attack, right? And we have the same machinery. Now we don't have bears anymore. We don't have tigers anymore chasing us, and that's it. But we have to still deal with the same physiology, with the same makeup. What do we do about it? What do we do with this? Because now the same situation appears in the boardroom, appears in the office, appears when somebody criticizes, appears when I'm about to walk here. I'm nervous. You can hear on the tone of my voice. If I was calm, I will be talking from a little bit lower, right? And immediately there, I can feel my heart rate going down. And I can feel tingling. I feel the blood going back into, it's a tingling here as I do that. So what happens? Blood just flew into my frontal cortex. Oxygen, my brain became oxygenized, and now I'm more comfortable with you. You don't seem so challenging anymore, little by little, as I'm getting comfortable on stage. So little by little, I'm able to think a little bit better. And hopefully, the more I calm down, the better this interaction is going to be today. So what's going on? Because fight, flight, or freeze still happens every day with us. So somebody criticizes and we react. I mean, how many times, who has never had road rage? You know what road rage is? When you get really pissed off in traffic with people. Who has never, right? And I mean, I have gotten out of the car, to confront these people that cut me. And then I said to myself, I wasn't thinking. Yes, John, you weren't thinking. You weren't supposed to be thinking. You were in flight mode. Cortisol all over your frontal lobe. You couldn't think. You're designed not to think. So what happens is that us as leaders, us as managers, us as people, what we want to do is to minimize fear. Fear in the workplace is not a good friend. It's not a good friend for the leader. It's not a good friend for the team. It's not a good friend for the manager. It's not a good friend. Physiology is against it. And it will constantly prove us that way. The still old school says stick over carrot. Do you understand the term? Stick over carrot? Incentive over punishment, So how do we operate? We operate with at the base of everything. So it's like an iceberg. We only see the results. We only see how, getting out of the car and confronting the man in the other car, or the woman in the other car, or the person in the shop that cut in front of us. We only see the result. But under that, there's a lot of stuff going on. At the base of it all is physiology, what I was talking about before. It is the neuroreceptors, the neurochemicals that we are shooting. Also has a lot to do with what we ate. Are we low in sugar? If we're low in sugar, we're going to get moody. All right? So a lot of us is, I haven't had my morning coffee, right? So our physiology rules a lot of what's going on. And the awareness of this is going to be really important. When I am on site with my team, one of the things that I say to them is, we need to eat carbs that last a long time. A cookie, a biscuit here and there is not going to do it. Chocolate's not going to do it. We need sweet potato. We need that kind of stuff that actually is going to burn slower and it's going to keep my sugar levels going. So the awareness of us doing this is going to be really, really important. It's going to be really important that we understand where we stand. Because our physiology is going to generate an emotion. An emotion, there's a difference between emotions and feelings, right? An emotion, these are the basic emotions. I'm not going to go into it in details. And then the emotion is going to generate a feeling. The feelings are a little more complicated. And then the feelings are going to generate a thought, and the thought is going to generate an action or a behavior, and the behavior is going to generate a result, right? And that is the way that it works. It's just nothing we can do about it. That's the way that we design. Now, sometimes it happens in cycles inside. It could be that a thought generates a reaction, a physiological reaction. It could be that we see somebody that we don't really like or somebody that we feel threatened by, and immediately we're gonna get shot. And that's going to happen. You know, we find ourselves shaking sometimes. You know, I remember that when I was younger, if I had to confront the bully, I was there like this. But if you look at my left leg, it was flying like that. I was so scared, but I was just pretending that I was, you know, holding it together because my mom said, "The bully is as scared as you. It's just he's not showing it." So I was pretending to be not as scared, so the bully didn't know that I was scared. But and as we take those behaviors, we create neural pathways. And neural pathways are wonderful things. It's a little quick avenues that open up and make connection quicker and quicker and turn behaviors into habits. And the more that we repeat something, the more that it becomes part of who we are. It more becomes easier to execute. I've been meditating for the last 10 years. And for the first 6 years, I couldn't sit still. I found it impossible. So I did something called movement meditation to get me there. And for the last 4 years, then I learned and I've been able to meditate in a more constant way, and it become part of my practice, part of my life. So we are in survival mode, right? Remember, we are, this is what we have. This is the machine that we have. So what we want to do is that we want to lower the heart rate. We want to slow down a little. And just by pausing between words, my heart rate is lowering. So, and also my breathing, it's going to be really important. What happens is that we have two systems in our bodies, like software, like an electrical installation. It's two separate, they're parallel to each other. One is called our sympathetic system. Our sympathetic system, what it does, it helps us survive. It's the one that makes us ready, run. It fills us with adrenaline. Our muscles tense. And then we have our parasympathetic system, which helps us calm down. And when the parasympathetic system goes on, our brain, our frontal lobe goes on. And our thinking goes on. And immediately that threat and that person that you were going to confront suddenly seems stupid. Like, oh my God, was I going to do that? I don't know, but it happens to me. It has happened to me a lot. So having the awareness of this has been really, really important in my life. And this is the awareness that we bring almost on a daily basis to my team. Because I realize that creating a space where we are not going to be creating a space where fear or a fear-based organization, a fear-led organization, is not going to work. So we're trying to create a compassion-managed organization. And that's going to sound very fluffy. So I'm going to get some eye rolls. Somebody is eye rolling somewhere in the room when I say compassion management, right? Stuff to be kind, to choose to be kind moment to moment to moment. It's easier to say, F off. A lot easier. And so that is a choice that we made. I aspire to that. It's in a constant process of growth. I haven't by far not mastered this. I'm not the Dalai Lama, and I don't pretend to be. So one of the ways on how I found that this really works is by using mindfulness as a conduit, as a practice. So we're a mindfulness center company. We, as a company, we meditate once a week all together. The whole group meditates once a week. And every day, every morning during our morning check-ins. In the morning, everything meets, and we do our to-do. We go through a to-do list. It takes about 20 minutes for a team of 10 people. It's very snappy, very short, bang, 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 bang. We look at our must, shoulds, and coulds. That's our prioritization method. Must do, should do, could do. Must do, first thing. That's the one that if you don't do it, you're going to get in trouble. And then we do a mindfulness breathing exercise every morning. And now different members of the team lead the breathing exercise. So we sort of connect, slow down. And so why don't we give it a try together? It takes 3 minutes, right? So really easy. You don't have to do anything special. You don't have to dress in any ways. Take a comfortable position. That's about it. So everybody's sitting in different places in the office. Some people are moving, as it is. Those that are driving and said, don't close your eyes. So what we do is that what my colleagues also guide through is that take a comfortable position and think that you're being pulled by a thread from the top of your head. So it gives us this sort of it's almost like a state of readiness. And so what we say is that, okay, we just went through the to-do list, so you know what you're going to do today. You know the people you want to meet. You will know, picture it, right? The people that you want to meet today, picture the things that you want to achieve. By the end of the day, look at it in your head, in your mind's eye, see yourself loving it. You're going to that dinner, and you think, whoa, today was an amazing day. Get that feeling. And in order to bring that feeling, a really good tool is to think about 2 things that you're grateful for. So I'm going to invite you, those of you that can close your eyes. So you that cannot close your eyes, just put your gaze down. It's a lot easier to look down here. I know some people get anxious by closing their eyes. So I'm going to invite you to take 3 deep breaths. So you have that image of you at the end of the day. You have the things that you want to achieve. You're quite clear about that. And you're thinking about these things that make you grateful. And that brings a little smile on the side of your mouth, right? It puts you that state of, yeah, cool, wonderful. And then I'm going to invite you to take 3 deep breaths. And when we inhale, let's count to 5. So count to 5 in your hair, in your head. So let's have the first inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to exhale for 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So have that picture in your head. Relax. Soften your brow, that space between your eyebrows. Soften it a bit. And again, take a deep breath. Count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now exhale. Count to 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The third inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Deep. And as you breathe in, you breathe energy, and you breathe out all the tensions and all the worries. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Thank you. So what you just did is that you hacked your system, right? You just hacked the system. You just introduced something that wasn't there before, like a software hack. You lowered your heart rate. You brought oxygen to your frontal lobe. So physiology doesn't lie. It is the fact. We can do this in different ways. You know, we get it with, and then it brings some shots of endorphins and oxytocin, et cetera, dopamine, all this good stuff. And we start to feel energized and good, right? Because all of this stuff is happening inside. All the drugs that we take into the body already are produced inside of the body. So we in my company, we embrace a term called LIFEWORKIng. We believe that the whole thing should flow with one another. If I'm a songwriter and I'm walking with my girlfriend at the beach, am I working at that moment? Is that what I'm doing? Because I'm getting inspiration for my songs. Or if I'm a footballer, I'm kicking a ball with my son or my kids in the beach. Am I working? I'm improving my skills. So I never really get it. You know, I absolutely adore my job. I can't stop. And when I'm home, I love being with my partner. I do. And I love being with my son. So what I learned through meditation and mindfulness is to be present every time. 10 years ago, my partner would look at me and say, "You're not present, John." And I would go, "What do you mean?" What do you mean? I didn't know what she was talking about. I couldn't even understand what she was talking about, what she was saying, "You're not present, John." Because I thought I was cool. I was drinking 3, 4 Red Bulls during the day, men are so full of shit. We are so full of shit. It's incredible. So I was hot. I was, what are you talking about? I know everything. I'm doing everything. So also mindfulness, what it brought was compassion, which starts here, and kindness, which starts here. You see, and it's very, very. There's this African proverb that says, "Be wary of a naked man that offers you a shirt." So it's really hard. For example, I have to walk the talk because my team are here, right? I can't bullshit them. They see me every day. So I need to deliver. I need to be able to do this thing. So in my company, we believe in a concept called leadership as a way of living. And the idea is that each one of us is a leader. Each one of us is a leader of our own lives. Leadership is not necessarily that we lead anybody or we're managers. Leadership has everything to do with the way that we behave, with the capacity to make the choice to be that version of ourselves that we want to be. We also believe in innovation as an attitude. Innovation is a very particular animal, you see, because innovation happens in all. Innovation happens in paper publishing, happens in banking, happening in everything, right? It's not just technology. Innovation is improving that spreadsheet that is the one that you carry the budget with. That is innovation. But innovation can only happen when we create a safe space, when we build trust, when the younger ones are able to bring their points of view into the conversation, when the younger ones are not afraid to speak up. That is innovation. Innovation is the capacity to be able to plant the seed and that seed to grow. Now, innovation happens a little bit like this. This is something called the curve of adoption of innovation. This is how most products have been put into the market. So we have innovators and the early adopters, and then we have the early majority. When you hit the cusp of the early majority, you got it. This is just going to happen. And then you got the late majority, and then you got the laggards. And the laggards are those here at the very end are people that still, have a flip phone, and et cetera, et cetera. So why do I need, my father-in-law says, why do I need a camera on my phone? I use the phone to call, and I use the camera to take photos, right? So namaste to him. So I want to share with you a little bit of an example of what we mean with the curve of innovation. So this is an innovator, right? So this guy out there, he is demonstrating, right? So he has a belief. He's going for it. He looks weird, man. I'll tell you. Some people call that dancing, but he's just really going for it. And he's loving it. He's sort of he doesn't care. He believes in his stuff. But what's more important is that first believer. That first follower. The first follower is as important as the creator, right? Because the first follower, in a way, validates the creator. And the first follower, after a while, he's standing there because, wow, this guy looks really crazy, but I think this is sort of cool. And while the first follower sticks with him, it creates a little bit of curiosity. And that first follower is going to start, walking to business. Have you seen this app? Oh, wow, man, the new iPhone. It's amazing, And the first follower has a friend. And the friend comes, and then they join together, and they start to develop this thing. And, the two of them together doing this thing, and they look at the creator and say, well, it's sort of weird, but, and now these are, this is happening. This is starting to, there's something going on here. I think I'm going to get that app. Oh yeah, the how do you call? The Fitbit. I think I'm going to get one, So it's happening more and more. So now this is building. Now it sounds like it's cool. I won't feel so stupid if I step out, if I actually follow this nutter and his herd of crazy people. But no, after a while, if you're not there, you're not cool. So if you're not there, you're on the outside. And so this is building up. I mean, there's something good here. There's some people still sitting down and looking and saying, what? Really? You're going to do that? You know, and there's more than one partner going, sorry, honey, you go by yourself. I'm not going to do that, right? So, and after a while, that's it. That's the thing. So you have hit the early majority, and you're just in that cusp. And now you start to hit the late majority. Now almost everyone is in. And it's almost no one sitting anymore. And there will be a point where there will be no one sitting. So that is a good.
Check.
So you see, my job is to make sure that he relaxes. Otherwise, I don't know what button he's going to press. So I need to keep him relaxed. So this is how innovation works, right? But we create innovation. This is what we do as leaders. This is what we are capable of doing or able to put in place. So to follow is also to lead. I tend to say, you know, I think I'm a good leader, but I'm a really good follower. When there is a leader, and I'm behind this guy, this lady, this dog, whatever is in front of me, I really follow. You know, I only had female bosses my whole life. I work in the events industry. You know, normally I was one of the few boys in the office, and it has been a blessing because I didn't have to deal with the male ego to the point that many of my colleagues had to deal with male ego. So I had offices that were very balanced. But in order to create this, we need to be in integrity, right? Integrity is a really interesting, you know, who does not understand what integrity means? Cool, okay. So integrity is to be in line with our values, to be in line with our beliefs. And for this, we need to create win-win relationships. None of this happens without relationships. I mean, we will not accept a lose-win relationship. That's silly. And we will not take advantage for anybody, so we will not accept a win-lose relationship. So it's either win-win or no deal. That's it. So if it is not going to be win-win, and we identified and we went into it, it wasn't win-win, we either make it win-win or we stop, because it's not going to go anywhere. And in the win-win relationship, I've done a lot of research about it, and the effect that an abundance mentality and a scarcity mentality have on us, and how we tend to see the world small or large depending on the place that we're coming from, right? How expansive are we at the moment that we're having this conversation, and how generous are we are going to depend directly on how the type of mentality that we are at that moment. Because what happens with abundance and scarcity is that they're two very different players. And scarcity comes from a place of fear. Scarcity feels that there's not enough. I need to, you know, I cannot share that with my competitor. Don't look here because I will lose my stuff. I'm a firm believer there's enough food for everybody. I'm a complete believer that there's enough food for everybody. And having proven this, we're ridiculously open. We're ridiculously sharing. We don't, you know, with our competitors and partners, et cetera, et cetera. There have been occasions where we have been working with a partner, and the partner is trying to ingratiate themselves with the client. But I think that integrity is vital in this whole communication. So, being the geek I am, I've been doing a lot of research on game theory. And I've been doing a lot of research on the fact that there are two types of games, we can say, right? So this is game theory is what John Nash, A Beautiful Mind, yeah, the film. Was studying. That's what I did in my PhD, quantum physics, and it was on patterns. So there are two types of games. There are infinite and finite games. The infinite game is every game that we know, almost every single game that we know, every sport that we know. I know that cricket looks like an infinite game, but it's also a finite game, right? So the finite game is that it finishes, right? So the ingredients are a set of players, a number of players that either win or lose, and a set of rules. So either you win or lose that game. The game finishes, somebody won, somebody lose. In football, you draw, but then you have to go to another game. Infinite games are more board games and now video games. Are games that take you through a path where the idea of the game is to remain playing, to continue to play. So in order to be able to be successful in infinite games, we need to be able to collaborate. And we call this co-petition. And we've been doing a lot of research for a long time about this. And how do we create teams where they cooperate? Because when we cooperate, the results are exponentially greater. So it all depends on how we see the game. If we see the game as a finite game, so we need to win, obliterate the competition, or we need to cooperate, or we need to continue playing. I deeply believe, hi, my friends from Prague back there. I deeply believe that the infinite player has to go into the game in a different way. And I believe that business is an infinite game. It's not who's number one today. It's who's going to be there in 10 years. It's who's going to continue trading in this market. It's an infinite game. So we need to play the game as an infinite player. I can't screw anybody. I have to behave. Also, I'm leaving a legacy for my son. So that is one of the advantages of family-run companies. So one of the things that we do is that we believe, I don't know if you guys, who doesn't understand when I say TED Talks? Yeah, TED Talks is a website called TED.com. And what they do is content, it's presentations and videos, and is my number one source of inspiration. And the most viewed TED Talk is a talk from a guy called Simon Sinek called Start With Why. And take a look at it, it's worth it on its own. And what Simon says is that leading companies and inspirational leaders, instead of when they describe themselves, they go from the what they do, how they do it, and maybe never get to the why they do it. They actually start with the why they do it. So one of the things that we try to do is to start with why. So in our weekly scrums, we organize scrums. It comes from a management technique called Agile. And scrums, in our scrum, we answer 6 questions. What did you do since the last scrum? So your achievements, what are you going to do until the next scrum? Your to-do list. What's getting in the way of doing your job? Obstacles. What ideas or solution do you propose to those obstacles? Otherwise, you get a lot of people moaning for nothing. What deadlines are coming? And 6 is who would you like to recognize from your team and why? And then that day, 3 people would read the elevator pitches. I don't know if you realize that when I introduced myself, the first thing I did is that I said, hi, my name is John Martinez. I'm the CEO and founder of a company called Shock Logic, and I'm absolutely passionate about the development of human potential. So I haven't told you yet my job, but I'm telling you what I care about. I'm telling you my why, and I'm sharing you my why. So in our elevator pitches, in our effort to create a culture is going to be vital as your companies grow. It's the glue that's going to keep things together. It's the glue that's going to make you attract the right people and the people that believe the things that we believe, people that align with our values. They're vital. So one of the things that happen at the moment that we go into our why is that we need to go into our values. And our values are our values are so close to our heart that I'm checking the time, that we need to open up, and it becomes an emotional connection. We need to make ourselves vulnerable the moment that we start talking about why. And there's another TED Talk by a woman called Brené Brown, and I beg you, go and watch it. Brené Brown is called The Gift of Vulnerability. And what she says is that physiologically, we are wired to connect and to be connected. Physiologically, there's nothing we can do about it. We're better. We're looking for connection constantly. And we only connect when we make ourselves vulnerable. That's why relationships, friendships are so important, because those are the moments that we open ourselves up. But how it is to run a company and be vulnerable? How it is to be a CEO and be vulnerable? How it is it possible to be vulnerable and be solid? Is it possible to be kind and to be sharp? Is it possible to be compassionate and to be assertive? Is that possible? Is it possible to be able to define boundaries and still be generous? So we believe that this is possible. And what I've been doing for the last 4 years or so, since we are being meditating all together, is finally I had the cojones to bring this into my office life, right? I was doing all this thing in the back. And I was terrified about the eye rolling and about because I'm also human. The number one thing that affects us, you know what it is? Looking good. That's the number one. It's more important than eating. More important than eating. We will do anything to look good. Each one of us. And whoever is saying, not really, see, I'll see you. So, yes, it is. Depending on what groups we move in. So vulnerability generates trust. And trust creates relationships, right? And relationships end up creating businesses. So I want to share something with you, and it's going to be hard. You sure that doesn't work? Okay. So can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yep. Yeah, okay. That's going to raise my... So, now for this, I need both hands. That's the thing. So if I do this, oh man, you're the man. You see? Kindness and generosity. That's it. You're the man. So if I do this, could you answer, why does the apple fall? Gravity. Right? Anybody? Gravity. So that's gravity, right? Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So we got gravity. So what happens now? I just created a miracle. I broke the laws of physics. Gravity still exists. Gravity hasn't stopped. Now, gravity affects. Now, it doesn't, right? So we do have a say. We do have a say. So, thank you. So we do have also a way to affect the apple for falling. I let it go, right? So gravity didn't go away. So can you shout some of the most common excuses for being late? Traffic, kids, yes. Parking, wow, that's a good one. Parking is, because you got there, you just couldn't park, And what about, I couldn't leave the other meeting, right? My other meeting overrun, right? So actually, anything that we do is affected by two vectors. It's a vector of things that are out of our control and things that are in our control. Because we don't really say, we say traffic made me late, right? We don't say I didn't leave early enough to deal with the traffic. Traffic is going to exist, right? Traffic's not going away. Traffic is like gravity, right? And the children are there. Yeah, the children are there. They're going to be there. And my other meeting overrun. The meeting locked the doors, and I was fighting to get out, and I couldn't get out, right? So when we do this, what we do is that we put the power outside of us. We put the power of what we do in something which is out of our control. Gravity, traffic, etc., etc. And these are the dialogues that we have with ourselves. These are the dialogues that disempower us. And this is what we say when we're being nice friends, not good friends. The good friend tells the truth. The nice friend goes, what did they do to you? Right? And it's like a drug because it makes us feel good. Why? It makes us not guilty, because all we want is not to be guilty. Please don't make me guilty, because being guilty is too close, the feeling of guilt, with the feeling of responsibility, right? And we run the risk when we are feeling guilty to fall into a victim mode. And there's two ways and we can do this. We can either be the victim, or we can be the driver. We can decide how we are going to act, how are we going to deal with this. Because the apple not falling is me taking a challenge, which is gravity, having an action, and be able to have the ability to respond to the challenge. So the meditating in the mornings, the breathing exercise. I don't have time to meditate. I said that all the time. Actually, meditating, as I slow down, I go quicker. I make better decisions. I don't know if your day looks like mine, but I sit at my desk and I'm ready. I'm on fire, right? And then that email I had to send, right? That email was vital. That's at the top of my must. That's a must, right? That's 3 musts. It must, then all the other musts, right? So I go in, I sit down, and I'm typing. Halfway through the email, bing! I get a Skype message. I look at the Skype message. So, wow. Alberto, who's here in the back, need a response from me. So I click on the Skype message, and I type the Skype message. And as I'm typing the Skype message, and I press send, I look down, and there's this report. Oh, my God, I had to post this yesterday. So I will take the post. Dominic, could you do me a favor? Can you put this in the post? Yes. And as I get up, somebody saw me up, right? So it said, John, second. So I go, yeah. So I go answer the question, we need to pay this invoice. Can you approve it? So I go, I sign it, approve the invoice. As I'm walking back to my desk, the phone rings. John, it says, so I take the phone. The must email still there, halfway done, right? I don't know if your day looks like this, but my day, yeah, it sounds like it's more common, right? So you see, what mindfulness has allowed me to learn to do, not only to slow down, but also to be kind to myself. Because mindfulness is having the awareness of the present moment on purpose without judgment. So I get to forgive myself and not beat myself, you idiot. Because I didn't do what I was supposed to do. So, and also what's taught me is to let go of the distraction, come back to the center. And when we were doing the breathing exercise, as you count, it's really hard to think about anything else after you count. So it's a really, really good exercise to, when you inhale, to go 1, 2, 3, because it's really hard for other thoughts to come in, and you end up somewhere in a tangent. So this exercise has created the neural pathways now. My meditation practice has taught me to go to the middle. How in the past I used to, for example, be in a conversation and go in a tangent and then go and forget and never come back to the first point. Now, actually, I'm much better at coming back and saying, yeah, that was the point I was trying to make. And that has come with mindfulness and meditation. So what I've been able to identify is that it helps me take responsibility. It helped me identify my ability to respond because I'm calm, because I slow down. I make better decisions. I have space for the answer to come, not only question. 10 years ago, I was on the brink. I think I was on the brink of a burnout or going crazy. I sold my company, and I started the company in 97, sold my company in 2004, and had just bought the company back in 2009. And went back into the market in the middle of the recession. 6 people chosen, like Jerry Maguire. I don't know if you guys saw the film. They came with me. They left their job to come with me. And now their salaries are coming from my credit card. And I'm getting money from here to put money there. And any entrepreneur knows what I'm talking about. I have a special kinship for company owners and CEOs because as we're building our companies, you have no idea what we will do and say in order to keep this thing going. So at that point, 10 years ago, I found meditation and I started to, it actually, mindfulness saved my life. I thought I was going crazy, literally. So I want to share with you our ability to respond and how does that work? What do we do with this ability to respond? Can we put sound? Sound?
Whoa, that's not good.
Oh, I don't need this. I'm already late.
Somebody will come. Anybody out there?
Do you have a phone?
No. Sorry. Somebody! Hello? There are 2 people stuck on an escalator and we need help. Now, would somebody please do something? Help! I don't believe this. You gotta be kidding me.
I'm gonna cry.
No. Well, there's nothing else left to do, is there?
Hello? Hey, don't worry about it. I'll fix it in a second.
He said he can fix it. All right. All right. That's more like it. He says he can fix it.
So my question to you is, what is your escalator? What is that thing that it is empowering us, that's not allowing us to move forward when the way forward looks quite clear for other people that are not looking through our lenses? And I want to leave you with this quote, which is in the bottom of my emails. Be kinder than necessary because everyone that we come across is fighting its own battle. Thank you. And if anybody wants the slides, feel free to give me your card and I'll send you the whole slide. Nothing that is there is mine. The only thing that's mine is the mix. It's the thing that I've taken and put together. Thank you very much. Any questions, anybody? How can we better cope with non-negotiable deadlines of the events we organize? What is the most useful skill to develop when coping with stress? Yes. So I'm going to start with the second one. The most useful skill that we can develop is start some sort of practice, whatever you call it, whatever you do, being breathing exercises, call it whatever you want to call it, Tai Chi, anything you do is better than doing nothing. Because remember, it's our physiology. Stress is not only in our minds, it's also in our body. And remember, when you think about stress, and stress as a debilitating factor, think about Usain Bolt. Who doesn't know who Usain Bolt is? Yeah, okay, wow, booyah. I thought that everybody knew Usain Bolt. Usain Bolt is the 100-meter Jamaican Olympic winner. Yeah? So he gets to translate stress into superpower. He's pumping. He's as stressed as you are. You know, he has the same symptoms, the same system, the same veins, the same heart pumping. His legs are a bit more powerful than ours. But it's the same thing going on. So there's an upside to stress that we can turn around, that we can actually turn it into something that feeds us. And the first thing we need to do is to slow down. Otherwise, there's no space for the oxygen to hit our frontal lobe, and cortisol will impair us from thinking, literally impair us from thinking. So, what's the most, how can better cope with non-negotiable deadlines of the events we organize? I think that planning is the only way. I don't know any other way but planning. As a meeting planner, you know, is having a timeline and following the timeline and sticking to the timeline and being realistic in the sense of not everything is going to happen exactly. So leaving ourselves leeway in order to be able to execute in a good fashion and being compassionate with others. But remember, compassion starts here and kindness starts here. It's not possible to be compassionate if we're not compassionate here. That is just being nice. I live in Britain. I'm South American, Venezuelan. But I live in Britain. So we are really nice. Not always truthful, because being nice is more important than anything. We have to be nice. So in my answer to that question is, deadlines for me are non-negotiable. It's not like, it's almost like an oxymoron. Non-negotiable deadline is repeating the same word. A deadline is a deadline, you know. It's not, if we show up here to, if a really good friend of mine comes back right now and says, he just missed it, right? I really wanted to be at your presentation, John. That's it, it's gone. That's it. He can, I don't know if it's being recorded, there's a camera over there, but maybe they can replay it, but that's it. So deadlines are deadlines. Any more questions from the floor? Thank you very much, and namaste.